Welcome to this short workshop on mind mastery, how to succeed in psychometric testing. So the session objectives are to understand the uses of aptitude or ability-based testing in recruitment, to learn how recruiters test candidates through gamification, and to recognize how preference-based testing is used in recruitment. So what are psychometric tests? Many of you may have heard of these tests, definitely within recruitment processes, but it usually occurs before the one-to-one interview or even within an assessment center. So what usually happens, depends on the company, is you apply for a job, they'll check your CV, they like your CV, and then they will send you certain tests to complete before even having that opportunity to even go to an assessment center or having that one-to-one interview. Sometimes they may get you to do the tests again in the assessment center or different kinds of tests, or it just could be at that stage. So it's an objective, convenient, and a strong indicator of job performance, and it's for employers to really get to know you and how you work, how you think, what your skills are, the knowledge that you have, and personality. So they try to kind of get a perspective of what's in your mind, what can you do, and how you would go about doing it. Usually these tests are timed, but some of them might not be. So it's usually the personality or preference-based testing that's not timed. It'll have multiple choice questions. It will be under exam conditions, and it's usually online. So it is a bit tricky in terms of having them in exam conditions if you're doing it from home, right? Which is why sometimes employers choose to do certain tests at assessment center, so they are keeping an eye on you when you do it. 70% of large organizations use psychometric testing, and it is something that is becoming more popular even within medium organizations as well. So if we take a look at preference-based testing, there are 3 different types that employers tend to go with, and sometimes they even merge some of these types together. You've got Myers-Briggs, which is basically different personality types. So I'm sure many of you have heard some people say that they are ENFJ or use certain letters to describe their personality type. I'm sure many of you have heard of things like, oh, I'm introverted or I'm extroverted, and it all comes from Myers-Briggs. So the background of that is a mother and daughter decided to do, they studied psychology and they decided to kind of look into it, and they came up with the Myers-Briggs personality testing. The Big Five looks at these key traits. So there's loads of questions asking about these traits, but they do it in different, they ask questions in different ways, but ultimately it's testing these 5 traits. And then you've got the long one, it's slightly long, it's 164 statements, usually over around 10 minutes. And it's a 16 personality factor personality tests. And it tests these 16 factors. So if you go on Google, or if you want a copy of where you can find these tests, you can always reach out to our service. We'll be happy to send them over to you. But even if you Google it and you type in Myers-Briggs test, you will find loads of free tests. But these are to see your personality, how you work with people, what do you like, what don't you like. So it's all about your preferences. So in terms of ability-based testing, there are a number of ability or aptitude tests that are available. The ones that employers will pick are the ones that are related to the job. May sound a little obvious, but that's what they tend to do. And even though you may think, oh, okay, this doesn't quite fit in with the job role, there is definitely a reason they are giving you that test. So diagrammatic reasoning, I'm going to go through some of them now. This type of aptitude or ability-based testing is multiple choice questions based on shapes, patterns, and figures, and it assesses your logical reasoning. So it's the one with the shapes. That's the way I like to describe it, the one with the shapes. There's quite a few like that, but this one is the one where you really need to pay attention to how patterns change and which one would be, which pattern is going in a particular order. So I don't have the answers, but have a go. And if you really do want the answers, you can always reach out to us and I'll be happy to give them to you. These particular tests were taken from a website called Assessment Day. And you can find practice tests that are paid for and also free ones as well. So I got them from the free ones, so you'll be able to see them there. So this is error checking. So they're timed psychometric tests where there are errors in certain data sets, and then it's up to you to find out which one is the correct information. So you can see on here, you've got a question, and That is the information you have to really take a close look at so that you can identify the errors and pick the correct one. So make sure that you're really reading the question. Verbal reasoning, these are ones that, the next couple are the ones that you've probably heard of the most. This is assessing the ability to think constructively and draw accurate conclusions, and it's about comprehension and also brings logic into it as well. So you can see they've given you a piece of information, but they've put blanks, and then you have to pick the ones that make the most sense. So this one is numerical reasoning. And it's not one of my favorites, I'll be honest, but it tests how successfully someone can apply numerical information. So it's all about maths. It's all about the numerical information. And again, it just gives you some data and then you pick the option. Spatial reasoning, this again is about kind of relationships with shapes and patterns as well. So very, very similar to the diagrammatic reasoning, but a little bit different. So you can see just by the pictures. So about which one, if they were to rotate the object, which one would it be? And then you have deductive reasoning. So it tests the ability to make logical deductions from given information. These are definitely timed because it wants to measure your speed as well. So as well as the aptitude ability-based testing and preference-based testing, something that is quite new is gamification. So it kind of merges the two types of tests together, and it's in a form of a game. So 42% of job applicants are put off by a company's job application procedure. So they wanted to make it more engaging to their target audience, which are candidates going for jobs. It's defined as game-based elements in a non-game related context. So what that means is it's basically, they are games, but they're not games. So it is testing something. That's something that a lot of candidates sometimes forget. It's not a game. It may seem like a game, but they're actually testing a particular skill. It measures cognitive ability and behavior. Immersive experiences for candidates to test the unconscious behavior. So you may be sitting there playing the game, but it's testing something and you're not really sure of what it's testing. And sometimes that's the best way because you're putting effort into something, but you don't know what you're putting effort in, if that makes sense. So for example, something that may have nothing to do with verbal reasoning, and it might be a bit of a game's got to do with a few words, you're sitting there playing the game, but really it's testing your verbal reasoning. It's created by these people. You can see there's a lot of work that goes into these tests. So you can't really cheat with these games. That's one thing that a lot of applicants fail to understand, is that you can't cheat with these games. So you've got neuroscientists, cognitive, organizational psychologists, data scientists, game designers, and recruitment experts. And it tests these things. So learning ability, it's providing an insight into someone's memory and just generally how they learn. Flexibility, and not in the sense of you're moving, can you go from one building to the other, or can you cover someone's shift or anything like that, but more in how you are flexible in adapting your thoughts, behaviors, and strategies to new and unexpected situations and new environments, and constantly changing environments as well. Provide problem solving and analytical thinking. So how does your analytical intelligence play a part? How does it work? How are you, how's your ability in solving really complex problems? Workplace interaction. So providing an insight on how someone interacts with others in the workplace. And then there's working styles as well. So, how do you complete tasks and what is your preferred style? So these are the type of games that might occur in if they're testing you, if you're getting some of these psychometric tests in the form of gamification. Could be something like a day in the life of a particular role. It could be through puzzles, platform games, simulations. So they could be putting you as a manager, for example, and you will have to make decisions. And something that is progressing is virtual reality and using that. It is something that is not really on the market at the moment, but they are weaving their way into it. Some examples are what Siemens are doing called Plantsville. So what that is that you are the role of a facilities manager. So it gives you an idea of what the role entails. Google do something called Code Jam. So it's rewards and competitions, allowing the competitors to really kind of put their coding skills into practice, and whoever wins that competition is then offered a job. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with Google. It could be with any of Google's partners as well. You've got My Marriott Hotel, and that is running a hotel before you even begin the application process. So you get a feel of what it's like. And there is something similar to that, and that is Domino's. So this isn't more as part of the recruitment process. However, it's more about you engaging with the brand. And sometimes what they do is leaderboards. So they'll see, okay, has someone actually, participated in doing this particular thing? And if so, who is good on the leaderboard, who's scoring the highest, so that they can just automatically get the people scoring the highest and they pass that stage. Or it could be a case of just engaging with the brand and they've seen that you've done that before you've applied, and it's going to give you bonus points. Exploration with Shell. So that's candidates are required to explore a given region and they squeeze that energy via problem solving, and they will put puzzles on the screen and you have to solve them. And another one is memory games. So that's something that's quite popular with gamification, is just these memory games of really, just remembering how the pattern goes. Or you have those card games and then you turn the card over and you have to remember where the card is of that pattern. Very similar to that. And again, on assessment day, on Graduates First as well, you will find those kind of games on there. So what's the best you can do to beat the bots? Practice. There is no way of revising for these tests, especially when it comes to definitely not preference-based testing, but aptitude and ability-based testing and gamification. There's no way of you revising. You just need to practice so that you understand the structure of the questions, you understand the timing and how long it takes, and you understand just how it works generally. So practice, practice, practice. Know yourself inside and out. So when it comes to doing these tests, especially preference-based testing, you're answering with the best of your ability, because they do trick you sometimes. And that ties into this next point. Honesty is the best policy. People do try to treat a lot when it comes to preference-based testing or personality tests. It is not going to work. The reason why is because they will ask you questions and then they'll ask you the same questions later on down the test, but you don't realize they're the same questions. And so you answer well, some students do this, or some candidates do it. They answer according to what they think the employer wants to hear. It will never work. So I'll give you an example. So a question comes up about whether you like working independently, and you say, strongly agree. And then that same question will come up again in a different form. So it could say something like, enjoy working, or enjoy taking initiative, working independently, or enjoy working in a group. And you might say strongly agree for that, but you've just said that you strongly agree for working independently. So it contradicts what you're saying, and this is how they catch you out. Do not bother trying to fill it in the sense of what the employer wants to hear or what the employer wants to see. It's not going to work. It is best for you to do it honestly, because in the end of the day, you want to work in a place that you're comfortable and happy to work at. So if you're honest and you get through to the next round, that job will be good for you. Read carefully, read all of the questions as carefully as you can. Some of these questions try to trick you, but just read as much as you can, try to understand as much as you can. And this is why practice makes perfect. If you can get in touch, if they haven't told you what kind of tests you're doing, and you can always get in touch with the HR department and ask them questions. You can also look online, literally use Google, do a Google search of, what kind of psychometric testing does this job require at this company? People will put their experiences online, especially on Glassdoor. And then if you are not sure of a question, do not skip it. Answer it. You've got probably, if it's multiple choice, you've got like a 50-50 chance on some of the questions. So just answer it to the best of your ability. So Graduates First is our psychometric testing platform. If you go on qmul.ac.uk/careers, if you go on the how-to, you click that and you do practice psychometric testing, you'll find this little tile. Click that, and then you will be on the Graduates First page. So they are a psychometric testing platform. We do have a partnership with them, so everything will be free. All of the tests will be free. You do, if you've never used it before, please register before you log in, because you do have to register. And register with your Queen Mary address. When you log into the platform, please make sure that you that it says Queen Mary University London on top. If you have any questions, so I'll skip through these. This is if you do have a disability or you need adjustments, please reach out to us, careers@qmu.ac.uk. But if you have any questions at all, these are our details. Feel free to drop me an email if you have any questions, or you can email the main service. You can give us a call, or you can visit us at IQ eSchool in our offices. Thank you for listening.